Thing 1, 2, 3. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our evening sutra lecture. We'll begin with our Dharma request. Our Dharma requester is calling in. Good evening, Amitofo. Yes, so we are ready to begin with the Dharma request. So anytime you're ready.
Okay, Dharma Master.
Okay, Amitofo. 好，金佛师，我们请法。
Yeah.
好，欢迎大家到我们晚上的讲无量寿经的可以说讲经法会。我们先开始来请法。
Okay.
Gong qing da de sang ting, wei ci fa hui, ji qie zhong sheng, qing zhuan miao fa lun, jiao dao wo men, ru he liao sheng tuo si,离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha, with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma will to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto sujedoye alahadi samya sambuddhoshe.
Namo satando suchedoye alahati samyao sambuddhoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it, and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, Dharma Master Jingfo, and all good and wise friends online, Amitofo.
Amitofo.
Amitofo. Welcome to our evening sutra lecture on the Infinite Life Sutra. This text goes over the life of Amitabha Buddha before he became Amitabha Buddha and was still a monk named Dharma Treasury, Bhikshu Dharma Treasury. And so we've been going through Bhikshu Dharma Treasury's 48 great vows. And now we're, I think, on vow number 41.
41.
在第41大愿.
大愿, yeah.
So we can continue to explore. 所以欢迎大家，我们今天要来讲无量寿经，讲阿弥陀佛，还是法藏比丘的时候发48大愿，今天会再讲41大愿。但是我们先开始来念阿弥陀佛的圣号，所以我们会请 阿弥陀佛到我们心中，让我们听他的愿，我们的心可以相应。So let's invoke Amitabha Buddha's name. And you can say, bring Amitabha Buddha's presence into our hearts, so that when we listen to his vows, we can, you can say, they say, you have a mutual resonance between the Dharma and ourselves. Okay?
Yeah.
Namo Amitabha. Mo Amitabha. Mo
诸佛菩萨、仙公上人，以及在座的法师，还有线上的佛友，大家阿弥陀佛。
All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, Dharma Masters, and all good and wise friends online. 阿弥陀佛。
今天是2月25号，25号啊。
Today is February 25th.
然后是我们来继续研究这个48大愿的第41愿，在42页。
We'll begin on page 42.
然后英文是
41.
43。
Okay, English page number is 43.
然后这个我们先来念一下经文，中英文。
Let's begin by reading the Sutra Text.
好，41
受我得佛，他方国度，诸菩萨众问我名字，至于得佛，诸根缺漏不具足者，不取正觉。
好，英文。
Let's turn other page around, page 43. 41. When I become a Buddha, if the Bodhisattvas in other lands, from the time they hear my name until they realize Buddhahood, have missing, impaired, or imperfect faculties, I will not realize perfect awakening.
好，这个这一页呢，这个对我们非常重要的，因为这个是他讲到这个诸根，就是我们的六根方面，这个不可以缺少，或者是非常丑陋。假如这样子的话，不取正觉。所以这个41大愿呢，这个也是对于这个他方国土，就是不是极乐世界的人，是其他世界的国土的菩萨众。
So here, Amitabha Buddha, when he was still Dharma Treasury Bhikshu, is making a vow that all the bodhisattvas in other lands, this is not in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land, but the bodhisattvas in other places, that they will not have faculties that are impaired or kind of, how would we say it in a modern sense? It would be kind of disability, I guess. We sometimes use the word disability. The faculties won't have a disability. It won't be ugly, kind of unattractive. There's a kind of fullness to them. They work properly.
所以这个41大愿呢，就是说我成佛的时候，就是法藏比丘成佛的时候，其他的国土的其他世界的菩萨们呢，所谓菩萨们，这个一定是修佛法的，修菩提道的，然后听到我阿弥陀佛的这个名字，所以也就是说，这个条件之一，就是说我的阿弥陀佛名号给他们听到之后呢，一直到他这个菩萨成佛，成佛果的时候，这一段期间呢，就是他的诸根，就是六根呐，不会有缺残或者是不足的地方。假如说有这样子的话，我就不成佛。所以就是说，这个他算一个保证，你听到我的佛号，我就保证他六根都是非常圆满的，然后都是具足的。
So here the Amitabha Buddha's vow talks about how bodhisattvas in other lands who have made a bodhi resolve, when they hear Amitabha Buddha's name, until they realize Buddhahood, they will always have perfect faculties, well-formed faculties. They're not going to be impaired, imperfect, or maybe missing. They won't have any disabilities. So this is Amitabha's vow.
所以这个愿呢，它不只是今生，它都包括来生，因为它修菩萨道是有时候要修好几大劫，所以这个都包括，不是只有今生，包括来生一直到这个成佛道，所以都是能够保持这样子的一个身相的庄严。我们知道佛有32大人相，还有80随性好。
So this is not just for this life. They won't just have well-formed features for this life, but in life after life, all the way to Buddhahood. Because we know that bodhisattvas, their cultivation is for long periods of time. And so we can also reflect on the Buddha. The Buddha is one who has a very adorned appearance, a kind of very dignified appearance. He has the 32 hallmarks, and also the 80, sometimes there are 80 minor features, kind of very fine and well formed.
所以这个愿呢，是给他方世界的这个菩萨，来完成佛道的一个加持，还有鼓励。所以他这个最重要的目的是来鼓励这些菩萨们来完成佛道的。
So this is really a blessing and encouragement for all the bodhisattvas in the other lands, hoping that they will realize Buddhahood.
所以这个这一页呢，这个就是你成佛道以后就记住五通六言，五眼六通，五眼六通，然后庄严相好，而且最重要能够普惠双修，有能够这样子两足尊的这个佛国的一个目的。
So, those who cultivate, they can develop we call the 5 spiritual eyes, and the 6 spiritual powers. They can also have a very full and dignified, majestic appearance, and there's full of wisdom and blessings. And the Buddha is specifically full of both wisdom and blessings. It's called the doubly perfected one.
所以他这个法藏比丘呢，他不只是极乐世界的人可以这样子，然后他还要其他世界任何无量这个国土的菩萨众们呢，他就是来做这样子的一个系佛会命的这个愿呢，来完成如来大业的这个使命。这个可以说是一个法藏比丘，他是无缘大慈、同体大悲的一个表现。
The Dharma Treasury Bhikshu is not just saying this for his Pure Land, but actually for the limitless realms all throughout the universe. And he really wants to cultivate on everyone's behalf to enable people to better cultivate. And so, okay.
所以这个我们今天在娑婆世界，我们目前的我们都是要特别尊重法藏比丘这个41大愿，认真来修他所鼓励的这个菩萨道，一直到成佛，然后我们都有很好的一个妙相庄严的这个具足圆满的这个相，所以我们要记住这一愿。
So this vow also applies to all of us. We should pay special attention here because we will all want to cultivate the way and realize Buddhahood. And so this vow applies to us. That allows us to have, if we can stay on this path to Buddhahood and not retreat, that our features will be full and complete.
我们知道这个佛说三世因果经里面呢，他有提到若问前生事，我们今生受走事；若问来生事呢，今生受走事。这个就是因为这个因果的定律、业力的影响来形成。所以这个就是说，我们今生得到这个，就是我们前生我们所做的，然后我们今生所做的，就能够会得到来生的这个事情或者形象。
So in the sutra that talks about cause and effect in the past, present, and future, there's a very famous line that goes, if you want to know how do you end up here, then all you have to do is take a look at what you've done in the past. And if you want to know what your future is, then all you have to do is take a look at what you're doing right now.
所以我们这个修学佛道最重要的要知道这个因果定律，所以我们要来遵守，然后重视，所以我们要获得这个诸根非常圆满庄严的相呢。在我们知道读地藏经也有地藏本愿经里面 都有非常详细的书的来叙述来说明，还有观世音菩萨普门品也有介绍，我们等一下会来一起来介绍给大家知道。
So, by cultivating, one has becomes more and more adorned or dignified in their appearance. I think so this is interesting because we usually think of good appearance as very kind of beautiful in a kind of attractive way. You look at an image, you look at Jing Forger has his phone there, and they try to make it look very glossy and attractive. And so it's kind of, what it does is it actually stimulates desire. It makes it go, whoa, that looks pretty nice. I think I want it. Whereas when we talk about adorned, it's something that when you see it, it causes your heart to relax, your mind to kind of stop. Maybe look again. And it's not something so obvious that catches your senses. It's often something that's deep. There's a kind of simple beauty, kind of order, kind of peacefulness. Somehow our heart recognizes, and then we see it as a kind of awe. Because rather than our ego trying to get, our ego kind of relaxes. And there's something that opens up. So this is what this adornment is, this kind of sense of, maybe you could say beauty in the maybe highest sense. And so so you can see it that this principle about cultivation and having adorned features comes up in a number of different places in the Buddhist tradition. One place is in the Earth Store Sutra, where I believe in the Earth Store Sutra, it talks about how one can cultivate so that one has a adorned appearance. This also is in Guanyin Bodhisattva's Universal Door chapter.
像这个要怎样子来得到这个诸相圆满呢？在如来品赞叹如来赞叹品第6就是地藏经如来赞叹品这个第6品里面呢，有提到这个是佛跟普广菩萨来开示的。那这个中间相公上人对地藏经他也有非常详细的来开示。那这个其中我就举了这个相公上人的这个开示啊，人为什么有相貌非常美丽？那有的为什么会相貌非常丑陋的？他所开示的，我今天来跟大家分享这个的这个道理。如来赞叹品。
Okay, so here, the Master Hua, he has a talk where he talks about it's from the place Pusa Laiping in the Tathagataskam one's chapter, in the 6th chapter of the Earth Store Sutra, and it's Fogam Puguang Pusa. So the Buddha speaking with a bodhisattva named Universal Light, I guess, universal. Guang 明的光吗？
不是普广，广大的广。
vast and all-pervading, you could say. And so he talks about bodhisattva, and so they're talking about how do you have complete faculties, so your faculties are not damaged at all. And so here Master Hua is going to talk about why do people some people are very beautiful and some people are really ugly. What's the reason for that?
当然他也同时也提到身体这个病痛啊健康的这个他也有10种的这个理由 但是这个健康方面我们不谈，我们就谈这个相貌的问题。好，他真空上人讲这个有10种这个道理，相貌为什么会丑陋，就来讲这个10种道理。
So here, Master Hua talks about 10 reasons one has health. We also have talked about 10 reasons why one has one's appearance. So we'll focus on the section on appearance because our topic today is on that. And so he talks about why are some people just really ugly? Can you say us 10 reasons?
所以我们也借这个机会来反省自己。他第一个呢，就是好动愤怒，就是说这个人很喜欢愤怒，就是发脾气呀，就是一点点他就发了一顿的脾气，所以这个就是这个人呢，就是很容易发脾气。第一点。
So it begins with reflecting on ourselves and saying this first reason is that somebody, okay, this is why they're ugly. 10 reasons why one can be ugly. Because one has a lot of hatred and anger. So whenever even tiny matters come up, one gets angry. And so we can use this as a model to reflect on ourselves. Do we just get angry all the time? Right? You can definitely see anger has a way of twisting the face almost. You know, and your body gets tight. And you can see how one who keeps their face in that way for a long period of time, it develops a kind of angry look. And when you just look at people, if you just kind of are sensitive, you can feel, whoa, a little bit scary, right? You kind of feel a little bit of fear around them. There's a way their eyes look, there's a way their face looks, the way they hold their body, that you kind of, in your body yourself, you just kind of immediately go, ooh, I got to be careful.
所以仙公上人讲这个对于发脾气特别爱好，所以我想也有这样子人有。
They just kind of just love getting angry. It's just one thing they do. Master Hua said.
Yeah.
And 我刚刚是说我们这个发脾气很容易可以把我们的生活，然后我们的相貌做得非常难看。
Yeah.
因为你看大家发脾气的脸孔，很少人发脾气很好看，对，发脾气的脸孔就变成黑黑的，可能红红的，讲话也非常粗的，做事情也不是很小心，所以身体也都紧紧的，所以这个发脾气呢，爱好这个发脾气是对自己很大的伤害。
好，第二个呢，他就是说，他这个人呢，喜欢存一种很嫌疑，就是怀疑，然后又非常嫉妒、愤恨的心，这样子的人，这样子就说什么事情呢？好像人家他愤恨人呢，就是好像人家对不起他，所以这个是第二种型的人。
So the second kind of person is very doubtful. So they're very jealous, sometimes resentful, and so this is the cause for them to have an ugly appearance.
好，第三种呢，就是喜欢打妄语，喜欢他一打妄语，他就会给人家迷惑，然后使人家来颠倒这样子，所以这个是第三种。
So the third one is somebody who likes to tell lies. So when they tell a lie, they end up confusing a lot of people, and people take what is false to be real. And so this is the third reason one can be ugly.
第四种呢，就是他喜欢来扰乱众生，他特别仙公上人特别讲指出来，这个女孩子这个最很喜欢这样子。
Yes. So the fourth one is the liking to disturb living beings, and so Vorsher said that, and Mr. Master Hua says sometimes girls like to
很喜欢有这
like
个
to
这样
you could say maybe cause a little bit of drama, like to cause drama in other people's lives.
好，第五种呢，就是说对于父母亲呢，没有真正的爱敬心，这个就是说要孝顺，他没有真正的来做到孝顺。
So the fifth one is no love for parents. They didn't really live up to the principle of filiality.
好，第六个呢，就是对于圣贤善神的地方呢，不生恭敬。这个好像是说，对于一些圣人啊、贤人啊、阿罗汉啊这一些呢，他或者是他在佛前里面呢，或者是在庙上呢，都没有来生恭敬心，没有真正的来恭诚心来对这些圣人或者菩萨、佛菩萨们。
So the sixth is that not being respectful to sages, to those on the spiritual path who are further along, the kind of awakened beings like arhats or the bodhisattvas. One does not have a kind of deep admiration and respect for them.
第七种呢，就是说，对于这个他会侵占这个圣贤所需要的这个田业财产，就是说像庙上的财产啊，把它占用啊，或者是来霸占去啊，这样子的一个人。
So, the number 7 is take. 这个是
来称赞这个财产啊，就是这个来剥夺。
这是有一些第七个。So for the
圣贤的一些产业啦、田业啦、财
they
产
don't
啦。
take care of the sangha's material items like their land and the you could say possessions. Rather they just destroy it.
Yeah.
They kind of end up hurting it, and so that's no good.
Yeah， 或者他霸占了。
霸占 cause bankruptcy.
Yeah。好，第八种呢，就是说，他在这个佛塔或者是佛庙里面呢，把这个佛前的这个灯呢，把它熄灭了，不再继续点给人家来继续点灯这样子，这个事情，就是把佛灯熄灭了。
So number 8 is at a Buddha stupa, or maybe at a monastery, they cause the Buddha's light to go out, to become extinguished. So in modern times, I think you'll rarely see a candle on the altar. But I guess what that could maybe translate to in modern times is if somebody's monastery has a very beautiful lighting system, and then you just kind of go and pull the cord out with the intent of maybe destroying the light. And it's not just because you need to use it for something else, like the monastery needs another duty that they need, and the lights aren't essential. But it's to actually go and you basically intentionally kind of put out the lights in front of the Buddha.
以前他们都点
油灯。They have these kind of
Yeah.
oil lights,
Yeah.
right? They lamp and oil lamps, and so they would light that for light.
好，第九种呢，就是说来诽谤人家或者轻贱人家，因为他看到人家有长得不好，或者是说错话怎么样子，他就产生一种诽谤来轻慢人家，这样子呢，因为我们仙公上人讲，因为我们每一个人的这个自己的心性里面呢，有一个照相的镜子，所以你看到人家长得不好丑陋的话，你就照到自己的镜子里面去， 那等到来生的时候呢，你就会就变成丑陋，甚至于比这个人还丑陋。
怎么变成丑陋呢？
丑陋就是因为他看到人家长得不好啊，就或者是
第九那边。
第九。
So people who are ugly, so they just kind of
丑陋的人呢，
对，so
产生诽谤、轻
because they slander the Dharma, or slander other people, or they look down on other people. So what does that mean? So it's to mean if one looks down on other people, doesn't respect them, so just you so you kind of take others lightly, or you even make fun of them. So this is the result of that. One becomes ugly. 因为我们 that's because we don't want to cause problems for ourselves. 的心里边也有个 we have a camera in our hearts. So whatever we see an ugly person, we then keep 一种生一种轻慢 we have this kind of mind of arrogance. So this 那这个像就会照的自己觉镜子
心里面的镜子
So you'll then put that image in your heart. Maybe say in your karmic screen. In the future, the 来生就这个人就会丑陋。So then in the future life, you'll be reborn in as ugly. Somebody asked a question. 有人问问题：普光菩萨是普贤菩萨的兄弟吗？ Is
普广啊，
普广法对普广法菩萨 is the Dharma Master or the Bodhisattva Pu Guang and Bodhisattva Pu Shen brothers in the Dharma?
我所了解，我不太清楚的。那虽然是有普日，他也是普贤一个普广，我依照其实普贤菩萨他的心量很大，然后普广，我想依照修行来讲，我们都比较像普贤菩萨啦、文殊啦，或者是这个都是比较那个普广在这个地藏经里面有提到这样子，跟佛陀跟普广，我对于是不是他们是不是兄弟？我想当然四海一家都是兄弟姐妹。我想这个我用这样子的名字来讲，我们也都是算可以这样子讲。
对啊，上人有说我们都是观音菩萨的兄弟姐妹，对不对？所以so the question is Manjush is a universal worthy bodhisattva, and here maybe it says universal vastness. Is he also? Are they brothers, as brother bodhisattvas? And Jing Fosher says he didn't really go look into it, but you could say we're brothers. We're all in the same Dharma family. Master Hua has a talk where he says Guanyin Bodhisattva is our brother. And then he says, well, people think, how can that be? Guanyin Bodhisattva is an enlightened being. I'm just an ordinary being. How can I be a brother to Guanyin Bodhisattva? And Master Hua said, well, that's because you have the view of an ordinary living being. But Guanyin Bodhisattva has the view of an awakened being. So for her, she sees all living beings sharing the same substance. So how can we not be her brother or related to her very deeply, right? Somebody asked, is it making fun of people who do not look good? I don't quite understand the question. Does it, we shouldn't tease those who look bad? Yeah, I think that's a very good principle. Before we talk, you want to really understand what is our intention for talking. If it's just to get a joke or something, but the joke can hurt somebody's feelings, then the question is that really worth it? Do we really want to tell a joke that would hurt other people's feelings? I think the safest joke is that you can tell about yourself. If you want to make fun of yourself, then that's probably okay. But if you're trying to make fun of other people, then I think people really would actually close you out pretty quick. We have this this program that allows people to go, okay. Actually, let's stop there. Yeah.
那这样子就是说大家开一点玩笑，making joke， 这样子算没有什么太大的，就是说你不要用心，真的用仇恨的心，愤怒的心，刚才讲过了，这些恶心就不好。所以这个相公上人他特别举出来，让我们要来学习，注意到自己的一些一切为心造嘛，所以这个要特别注意的。那他也有讲，下面我们会讲到这个相貌圆满，相公上人也有提到怎样子会得到相貌圆满。
So yeah, so maybe sometimes having a sense of humor is not bad, but if we make a joke and it's out of ill will or harming, then that's really not good. So we really need to pay attention to our heart.
好，这个这样子，相公上人讲，要怎样子讲这个相貌圆满呢？他讲的就是说，眼睛就要像眼睛的样子，耳朵就像耳朵的样子。那有的人呢，鼻孔向外朝，就是向外，所以他也特别举出来，这个像这个鼻孔向外翻的人呢，这样子的人没有福报，是一个比较穷相的这个。
So he says, what does it mean to have a well-formed features? So when you have your eyes, they look like eyes, they're not kind of deformed or something. The ears look like ears. The nose doesn't kind of flare out, like these big nostrils or something. He says that if so, then one's appearance has a kind of appearance that doesn't have very many blessings. It's kind of a impoverished appearance.
他还讲说，这个眼睛呢，就是要长得就是像眼睛稍微长长，好像是那个好像姓氏的，就是姓人姓氏的，不要生这个三角形的眼睛，那你就不可以跟这个人做有没有三角眼那一种的人做朋友，你跟他做朋友。就是没有什么好处的，你要小心这样子的人。
So 那个是 almond 吗？姓人是 almond。almond 是那个小颗，对不对？
Yeah, 姓人。
So so Master also talks about the eyes, that you want it to be a little bit long, and maybe looks like an almond, right? You don't want an eye that looks like a triangle. That those people, if you become friends with people whose eyes are kind of in that shape, you have to be very, very careful.
还有他也提到这个口，我们的嘴巴，男人的嘴巴大算好的，那女人的嘴巴大就不好，所以就是在讲这个男女相的。
So he says, how about the mouth? Well, if our mouth to be larger, for a man is generally okay. For a woman, then the mouth being larger, generally not a good thing.
还有上人也提到说，在这个佛教里面呢，相貌圆满，就是我们要常常来拜佛、念佛，或者是拜哪一个菩萨来念哪一个菩萨，这样子都会得到相貌圆满的这个果报。
So Master Hua also explains that in Buddhism, if you want well-formed features, you want to bow to the Buddha, recite the Buddha's name, pray to the Buddha. That's one way that you can have a good appearance through constant mindfulness of the Buddha.
所以他就总结了这个相貌圆满呢，就是说眼睛要好看，耳朵也要长得好，鼻子也好看，嘴巴也好看，面也好看， 这样子就会生得相貌好。这个什么原因呢？就是说他在《地藏经》讲，就是说你常常来瞻礼地藏菩萨的缘故，然后就可以得到这个相貌圆满。另外，当然这个佛也有跟普广讲，这个经文讲的，若有善男子、善女人，能够对菩萨向前，就是对你不管观世音菩萨、地藏王菩萨这些，然后来做之机要来供养，或者来赞叹，或者用香花来供养，这个都是可以得到的。
那从哪里开始？这里。
这个就是要得到相貌，就是要眼睛好看。
So if you want a good, well-formed features, then you want your eyes to look good, your ears to look good, your nose to look good, your mouth to look good, your whole face wants to be attractive. So if you want to really be look good, then the way that you can do that is through admiring, kind of worshipping earth-stored bodhisattva. 胜利菩萨、地藏菩萨. So this comes from being respectful to earth-stored bodhisattva. Then one can have blessings, can accumulate blessings. So then that way one can have full faculties, is through admiration of earth-stored bodhisattva. 你第10个原因已经讲了吗？那个丑陋的，我看到你讲的第9个。
第10个吧。第4个就是喜欢一切恶行，就是说对，我漏掉了。第10个就是说，那个学习佛法的人呢，他喜欢来做一些恶恨，就是说不正当的事情，不正当的行为，这些的总共就是10种恶业，所以他就会得到这个丑陋果报的。
So number 10 is that the person likes to learn all the kind of evil or harmful activities. These are not proper activities or activities that help people, but really harmful. So these are the 10 reasons that one becomes ugly. So maybe just to quickly review it in a way that maybe we can relate to. And so if we want to have well-formed features, I mean, I think people, in my observation, do actually care about their appearance quite a bit in general. Some people care so much that if they look a little bit bad in some way, they can get really, really upset. But for us normal people, people get a big pimple on their face, then it's kind of, problem. You kind of go, when's that going to get it? When's that going to leave? Right? And so the question is, how do we really have an appearance that is full and complete, not kind of 50% there? And so I'm quite struck that a lot of this is talking about an internal state of mind, so a kind of inner beauty, rather than just focusing on outer beauty. The Buddha focused on the inner beauty that allows the outer beauty to come out. So for instance, if you take all these negative things and you move it to the positive, rather than constantly getting angry, one can constantly be kind, right? What's the face of a kind mother, or a kind father, or a kind brother, right? There's a sense of beauty there. Or if one's always doubtful and jealous, the mind is kind of always, always say, prove it to me, kind of very competitive, and whoever gets ahead more, you kind of want to pull them down. You just look at their face and their body, and it's not very relaxed, not very joyful, always kind of calculating. And so again, it just doesn't, the features get all twisted, right, in this kind of tension. Somebody who's always lying, they're always, their face and their mind is always going in 2 or 3 different directions as they try to figure out how to manipulate the situations for their own advantages. So the face gets that kind of shifty look, right? The eyes kind of dart around, always trying to look for maybe a special thing. And then there's things about not caring for parents. I think it's interesting to talk about not being respectful to the sages. So if we're disrespectful to the sages, what happens is that we close down that door to deep wisdom out of our arrogance. Rather than being able to learn from something that's wiser than us, we close that door and we basically say, no, I'm better. I don't need to respect you. And that also closes it down to real beauty. Because real beauty, inner beauty, comes from cultivation. And if we don't respect cultivators, then ourselves, we close that door for ourselves to walk on. So there's quite a few more, a sense of not slandering people. So that's interesting. That slander would lead to an unattractive appearance, because what happens when we slander? I think you can see it. Two people end up in a breakup, and one group begins to become very angry at the other and tries to pull down the other person's reputation. But their whole demeanor, if you look at somebody who tries to get revenge, can easily become all-consuming, and their life gets basically shaped by that kind of all-consuming energy. And it leads to, but Master Hua saying is that leads to a very ugly appearance. 所以我刚才就讲这个10个，就是简单的来看，从一个心理学的方式来看，我想这个上人在讲这个内美丽的在内心的美丽，不是外表的美丽。我很多时候花时间都放在外面，但是现在那个上人在指这个内心的美丽。如果我们常常生气呢，我们心不美，跟那个外表也非常丑陋，怎么样呢？我们就要慈悲。看看那个父母慈悲的时候，他们非常可以说有这个很可以不是说美丽，但是很让你的心安下来。另外，如果我们非常一直跟人争来争去啊，会怀疑啊，或者嫉妒啊，这也是会让我们心跟面孔变成有点奇怪，有点不正常了。我们讲打妄语啊，或者我们不真正佩服上人那个圣人呢，这样子我们就把我们这个修道的路就被断了。所以这个就对我们来说，修行的真正可以得到安详的这个心呢，就很难再找到，因为我们的骄傲心太大了。我想就这样子翻译大概就可以了。
OK， 还在讲这个，就是在菩萨前面呢，我们刚才讲的就是在我们不管男子女人呢，在菩萨前面。
So if we can, if we can, as a man or a woman, if we in front of the Bodhisattva's images, say Earth-store Bodhisattva, and we can play music, sing songs, sing praises, light incense, make offerings, or we can encourage other people, one or more. If we do this, 如是等辈现在世世中. So if we do this, then life after life. 还有吗？
这个就是地藏菩萨，我下面
We'll have good appearance life after life. That's kind of what he's saying.
好，我们地藏菩萨就讲到这里。我们现在讲观世音菩萨普门品里面呢，它有就是说，只要有人来二求，观音菩萨会应众生的二求。什么叫做二求？就是你要求男求女，这个二求都可以如愿的。
So we can move to Guanyin Bodhisattva. So she made a vow that those who request a boy or a girl, she will grant their wishes.
所以这个在经文里面讲呢，就是说，假如有人有女人受欲求男，礼拜供养观世音菩萨，变身福德智慧之男，然后受欲求女的话， 变身端正有相之女，手指斗本，众人爱敬。所以这个是跟无尽意讲的。无尽意啊，观世音菩萨有如此的力呢，所以众生能够恭敬礼拜观世音菩萨，这个福是不会白费的，福不唐捐。所以这个他就是说，众生都应该来恭敬，来礼拜观世音菩萨。
Okay, yeah.
这个经文。
So here is from the Sutra of the Universal Door chapter of the Lotus Sutra. So here the Buddha says, if there are 若有女人, there are women who wish to give birth to a boy. If they can make offerings and bow to Guanyin Bodhisattva, then they will have a boy that has blessings and virtue and wisdom. Now, if they request a daughter, then the daughter who is born will have very kind of upright features, features that are full and kind of adorned and dignified, and they will have a virtuous nature. And people will see her and have a kind of a feeling of care and respect. So universal or 无尽意, unlimited intention, Guanyin Bodhisattva has this kind of
无尽意是一个菩萨。
So he's the Buddha is addressing unlimited intention Bodhisattva. Guanyin Bodhisattva has this kind of strength. If living beings who can be respectful to her, Guanyin Bodhisattva will then respond.
Okay.
So if you wish for a boy or a girl, this is one method that the sutras actually give. I remember one of my friends who was actually had a child. So it actually amazes me that I have friends who have children. It's like, wow, I think I'm getting older, but I have friends who have children. And he was telling me how when the baby was in the womb, they would recite Guanyin Bodhisattva's name and recite the Universal Door chapter, and it was a girl who came out and very proper and very good. He says, wow, such a good investment. You know, you have a child and you spend so much, resources on a child, and really if you put in some effort and cultivation, you can have a very good child. He was just telling me about how good of an investment it was. And I thought, I guess that's one way to look at it. But usually we recite Guanyin Bodhisattva's name, ideally to not seek anything, right? We want to cultivate in a way that we're wishing for the well-being of all beings. But at the same time, if people really wish for a daughter or a girl, daughter or a son, then here's a method for us to use. 我记得我有一个朋友，他有个女儿，然后他女儿还在说怀孕吗？那个肚子里面的时候，怀孕。有小孩子。And they would recite the 普门品，他们会诵普门品啊，念观音菩萨圣号喂孩子啊，孩子生出来就非常端正。这个，当然他说哇，这么好的一个 investment， 中文 investment 是什么 ？investment 是像你去买股票的时候，你去 invest 投资，这个很好投资。看你们这个孩子啊，花好多钱啊，好多时间啊，所以有一个孩子生出来，你是很好啊，有端正啊，然后好养啊等等的话，这个是太好的投资了。我听得有点笑说 OK 好啊，但是经典有这样子说，对不对？我们如果可以念普门品啊，可以帮助生孩子时候会是个好孩子。但是呢，我们修行最后我们就不要执着在这边，最好是往成佛的方向来走。我们就好好一步一步来修行。有孩子好养或者不好养，都有不同的因缘的。对。
所以谈到这个供养呢，假设我们用财物来供养，它是可以得到福德的，然后用法供养，能够得到智慧的。假如说我们用我们的身口意三业清净，来供养，就能够得到圆满普惠的这个功德。所以就是说叫我们要用我们的身口意来修行来供养，这样子能够把它做好修行清净的话，这样子是最好，就能够得到福慧的这个功德，圆满福慧的功德。
So if we make offerings of, say, material items, then that brings blessings. If we can give dharma, then that brings wisdom. And if we can purify our three karmas, then we have both blessings and wisdom. And so this basically tells us that if we want to cultivate, we need to use our body, our speech, and our mind, kind of the inner contents of our mind. And if we can use it well, if we can purify it, then we can become perfected in both blessings and wisdom.
所以我们当一个人啊修行呢，福德跟智慧都是非常重要的，都是同等的。假如说有福没有慧，没有智慧，那就好像是你生在这个富贵人家，是一个白痴呆子一样。
So we want to cultivate both blessings and wisdom. This is very important for us. If we think of an example, if one just cultivates blessings but no wisdom, then it's like being in an extremely luxurious house, a well-to-do family, but one's actually like a daiji. They usually translate maybe as an idiot, somebody who doesn't can't appreciate anything, but is a little bit strong. So I would probably say something like, become very dull. You're just you just can't appreciate any of the things around you, even though you're living in tremendous blessings.
然后呢，你假如说只有有慧没有福，就是好像你生在这个贫穷人家里面呢，你虽然很有学问，但是生活贫困呢，像一个穷书生、穷秀才一样，这样子也不是圆满。
So if you only have wisdom but no blessings, then it's like being born in an impoverished place, a place that's really suffering poverty. And this also isn't complete. There's also a lot of suffering.
所以这个观世音菩萨这一品里面，他就是想，假如说你要求难，礼拜观世音菩萨呢，你就会生福德智慧之难。外表能够丰衣十足，然后财富又有无量的这个福德，然后里面又聪明，又有辩才、知识达理的这个智慧，所以这个就是福慧双修的一个男孩子。
So it says in the Universal Door chapter that if you worship one in Bodhisattva and you seek a boy, then you have a boy with blessings and wisdom. They will have externally wealth and enough material resources, and internally they'll be intelligent and eloquent. So here's the Universal Door chapter talking about how one can have a child that is well developed.
所以这个还有这个，假如说你求女孩子的话，便会生端正有相，这个很重要。这个端正就是说没有任何的缺陷呢，所以就是说你六根具足，然后五官端正，所以这个是一个端正的果报，这个是非常重要的。
So the scripture also talks about a girl, and that if she's born and parents worship Guanyin Bodhisattva, then she'll have a very adorned appearance. She'll have complete features, no flaws. And so this is actually quite important, because if we have our features kind of damaged, it's more difficult to cultivate.
还有经文上舍子夺本，这个树子夺本就是你树就是过去世过去的生中里面，你种植了这个很多，就是说你做了很多的这个道德的善良的这个事情，然后做很多慈善的这样事业来利益群生，这个就会得到这个端正有相的这个善报，所以这个就是经典上所讲的舍子夺本。
So, 舍子夺本. So you have this one is talking about very virtuous appearance. By cultivating many virtuous deeds, then you have a very life of blessings.
然后众人爱敬呢，就是说他像外面又长得非常端正好看，然后里面德本，因为他还有内德，然后就会这样子的给人家看了以后来生恭敬。像这样子的一个德貌兼优的女孩子呢，算是一个我们所要的一个真正的这个女孩子贤妻良母型的。
So this is also a daughter of people who love and care for, and so this girl will have both inner and outer virtue. They will be respected by others and also respect other people, rather than being disrespectful to their seniors and also not really having good relationships with everyone. So this is what it means for by reciting Guanyin Bodhisattva's name, one can have well-formed features.
好，我们就观音菩萨普门品，我们就讲到这里。另外，我想在我们的这个佛陀时代呢，有一个水镜回天录里面呢，我们有一位佛陀的弟子叫做焦梵菩提尊者，这个故事我们来讲他一下。这个在水镜回天录里面，玄空上人他有开示这位菩萨。
So this next story comes from the Buddha's time. Talks about a monk named Jofam Puti, and this particular text where you can find this story is from the Water Mirror Reflecting Heaven collection. So Master Hua gave a series of talks, and that were on different people's lives, and so those are collected in those booklets called Water Mirror Reflecting Heaven.
因为怎么样子？因为这个焦梵菩提呢，他吃饭的时候，不只是没有吃饭，他的嘴巴都一直在动，在咬东西。这个就是像这个牛在吃东西一样的这样子，一直嘴巴在动，这样子在咬。
So this big monk named Jofam Puti, he 喂牛，喂牛什么？
牛在吃东西啊。
He looks like a cow eating.
对。
And so what does that mean? Well, when he were to eat, his mouth would be kind of chewing. Even when there's no food, he always like chewing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's very unattractive.
Yeah. 这样子的，因为它会发生这个问题呢，这个就是佛陀怕说人家看到以后，来诽谤他、讥笑他，因为他其实他是已经得到这个阿罗汉果的人，因为你假如说有发生这样子来讥笑他， 来说他怎么样子，这样子你的这个后果是你知道讥笑一个圣人是不会得到果报的。
So, because the Buddha was actually quite concerned for living beings, this monk was actually an arhat, but he had this habit still of chewing his food and even continue chewing throughout the day like a cow. So he thought that people would make fun of him, and if they made fun of him, they would have to suffer a lot of difficulties. So, so we didn't want that.
所以这个经典上也有讲说，他为什么会产生这样子，就是说他以前当沙弥的时候，他看到一个老比丘，吃饭非常的迟钝，然后就来戏言说，你这样子吃饭好像牛在吃草一样的这个情况，所以他这样子一句戏论呢。所以他感到了，他就被因为这个老比丘也是得到正果的人，他后来他就这个沙弥就有感到了这个500世都当为牛，那今刚好他这一生呢，就是有这样子的一个牛吃草的习惯。
So how did this happen? How did he end up with a habit where he is constantly chewing? So at one point he looked back at his past life, he was a novice monk. But he made fun of an older monk who would always be kind of chewing who chew his food and look like a cow. And so he made fun of this older monk. And because of that, it's not a good idea to make fun of arhats. And so he had to kind of endure the results of his actions.
所以这个这一次的这个交凡菩提呢，佛陀就是说怕其他人不了解他的情况，会产生这个来击毁他，所以佛陀就叫他你不要在这个珍重里面，你到天上去，所以他就真的他就飞到天上去。
So the Buddha was worried that people during his time might see him and make fun of him because of the way he chews all the time, like a cow. And so the Buddha told him to go to the heavens, and then there he can receive offerings, so he won't cause problems in the world we live in.
Yeah, 所以他就到天上去那边，受天年供的这个天年供。所以这个，但是佛陀灭度以后呢，大迦摄尊者呢。他结己三藏也是请他下来帮忙来结己工作。
So after the Buddha entered Nirvana, they had to gather all the sutras, and so Das
来天
上为我推供养
来结己三藏啊。
这是谁？哪一个？大迦摄，Mahakashapa, Venerable Mahakashapa gathered everyone together to compile the Tripitaka. So then they specifically requested the name. The name I think is actually Gavampati or Gavajapati, and so they wanted him to also participate in this work.
然后这个后来尊者他这个工作完以后，他知道佛已经入涅盘了，舍利佛也都走了，所以他后来他也说请接足礼，就是交凡菩提接足礼，十方大德贤圣真相王已经去了，向子随，就是说他要跟随，他也要入涅盘，所以后来他就入涅盘了，就这样子。他入涅盘的时候，他的身上就入火光三昧，然后在空中就入涅盘这样子。
那边开始。
这样子。
So after the Buddha entered Nirvana, 世尊。
尊者就是他嘛，其实佛及舍利佛都 大阿罗汉
So all the great arhats, many have passed away. Shariputra, the great arhats, and so they generally left during this time, and so so he had this thought, gosh, Bodhi, Anjali, Sifang, Dada, Shin, all these great beings, Shang Wang Yi, just like the Buddha, like Dharma King, have left. They kind of go with their karmic conditions. And I hoped that Ru Mie.
佛入灭了，他也要入灭了。
Also, he thought to himself, he also was thinking that he would leave too. This is Venerable Gamampati. So he then went into empty space. He used fire, the fire of samadhi light, and then in the middle of space he kind of left in space. He died in space. And then the heavenly beings actually constructed a palace for him, and to make offerings to him.
Yeah， 所以这个是，就是说我们不可以乱来击毁人，有圣者这样子，这样子不可以。
So this is a lesson to us. We can't be casual and make fun of others, especially sages. Then there's definitely consequences.
还有这个佛陀时代呢，我们知道他阿难啊，还有南头阿难头，一个是亲弟弟，就是南头阿难头，他亲弟弟他也有30相，他也得到这个30相，还有这个阿难算堂弟呢，他也都是非常算当时的美男子，两个都是一样，都长得非常圆满端庄的这个算他的面相，所以在仙公上人他也有提到说，像他们面如秋满月，他的面他的面相呢，好像是非常秋天的这个满月的秋天，然后目视镜莲花，他的眼睛呢非常的清净幽静，好像莲花一样，他的妙相庄严是非常的庄严，所以这个在我们佛经上是有2位算非常美男子，我们讲美男子。Yeah.
Very handsome. So during the Buddha's time, there was Venerable Ananda and Venerable Nanda. They were both very handsome, and so the Master Hua describes them as their face was very like a full moon, and the face like a full moon, and their eyes are like lotuses. They have very wonderful appearances. So
yeah, 我们不
so say that. Okay, but important we have to cultivate ourselves. Yeah, so if you want a kind of a good appearance.
还有这个，其实在佛陀时代还有一个女孩子，就是美女，这个是也佛陀也有跟她开示，佛陀开示的，这个美女叫做 Amolo， 这个一个女孩子，当时也是非常美丽，她还警告比丘看到她要特别小心。
So there was also a girl who was extremely beautiful. Her name was Amalolo, and so the Buddha actually also talked to the monks. She was so beautiful that if they meet her, they have to be extremely careful with the senses.
这个就是摩罗这个女孩子，她是在比手离国，那佛陀就是刚好有一天，他就去那里比手离国那里来布教，就是来教导众生，就是遇到这个女孩子，她当时她是非常一个美人，有名的一个美人，而且她家里非常有钱， 家财万贯，就是非常有钱的，然后他听说这个佛陀来呢，他就非常欢迎，带着这个宝车，他就是驾着这个宝车去欢迎佛陀跟比丘。
So there was this girl, and her name was Amalo, right? Yeah. And then so she was someone who was very beautiful, and not just beautiful, also very rich. And one day she heard that the Buddha was coming to her hometown, and so she went out to meet him, and you could say like a beautiful car, you know. 他带什么东西？
他就是
宝车，
驾着宝车来。
So she came with a very beautiful vehicle， 带着侍女。So he brought some of her servant girls along to see the Buddha and the monks。
所以他这个佛陀看到他这个带着这个华丽的马车，然后打扮得非常花枝招展。佛陀就告诉比丘，所以他那时候就跟比丘们讲：各位比丘，你们看前面来的这些美女呢，在车上，是非常，她这些美女都是非常聪慧，美丽的，她会引起这个修道者的这个爱情之念，就是说会来影响修道。所以你们大家要正心，要把握自己的心理，不要给他影响了。
So when the Buddha saw her, he addressed the monks. Monks up ahead, you can see there's a very beautiful girl, a whole kind of carriage filled with beautiful girls, and they're very beautiful and intelligent, and you need to be very careful with your mind, your heart. You do not want to have it fall into a kind of possessiveness or a clinging. You want to maintain a kind of inner stability and uprightness.
所以这个阿摩罗尼呢，他来到佛陀的时候呢，佛陀就叫他坐在这个树下。然后这个阿摩罗尼，他看到当时佛陀的这个容貌非常慈爱，然后佛陀也有发出威德的光明，然后他这个当时他就把自己的态度呢就来收敛，然后就显出这个成真的一个面相来跟佛陀来在一起。
So there, the Buddha kind of was met with this woman under a tree, and the woman saw that the Buddha was a very caring presence, a caring appearance, kind of radiant, and so here they had a discussion.
所以佛陀就来坐在他旁边，然后就跟他说：“你的这个心理非常善良，而且仪容美貌端庄，你又年轻，然后又有这个万贯的家财，而且是也是来听经，这样子就显得你这个是一个有你德的人，就是说有修行德行的人，所以这个就会使你更加美丽。然后你又来听来瞻仰我们的这个正法的这个教导是很难得的，所以这个是非常一个可贵的事情。
在那边。So 他住他旁边。So the Buddha kind of sat down. I don't want to say right next to her, but I would say, in a kind of appropriate distance. and he told her that she's, from a very good family, has a very attractive appearance, good heart, young, but also wants to learn the Dharma. He says that's very good because you have all these good conditions that come from your virtue from the past, and now that you want to listen to the Dharma, learn the proper Dharma, that'll make you even more beautiful.
所以这个就是非常难得可贵的事情也。
So this is very special. This is a very special occasion.
所以佛陀又跟他讲，这个世界上呢，一般的人来追求这个财色，或者是这个宝，或者是财宝，这些都是会坏的。然后只有这个实在的这个法喜充满人间呢，这个才是真正不变的这个宝。就是说，他来学习佛法，然后会得到这个法喜充满在这个人间，这个才是真正的宝。
So it says, in this world, people can have, chase after money, beauty, kind of attraction, lust, but that's all of those kind of temporary gratifications don't really last. They're not very sustaining, and so what you really want to cultivate is this Dharma joy, and find a real inner happiness that is not changing.
佛陀也讲，这个青春的年华呢，都会像年老，甚至以后死亡。所以我们要修道，这样子来处理生命呢，才不会给这个无常老死来侵害。
So all those things, beauty, wealth, power, reputation, everything, as we get older and older and about to die, all those become less and less important. And so we really, in our life, we should cultivate. If we can really cultivate the way, then so we can live our life. And when it comes time to face the ghost of impermanence, you can say at the time of our death, we won't be leaving kind of completely lost.
所以甚至于有一些爱的欢聚呢，因为你有欢聚就会有离别，所以世间上的万物呢是不会完全满足我们的心意。只要把我们的真法存在我们的心中，靠着这个真法的力量呢，才能够来离开这个痛苦的。
So you can see that in this world, love and hate go hand in hand. So we fall in love, but then they don't do what we want, so then we get angry. So this is endless, kind of this duality. Instead, we want to cultivate the Dharma, and that way we can find true freedom.
所以这个阿摩罗尼呢，听了佛的这个法语，他好像在梦中来出行，心里非常欢喜，然后他这样子就引起了他这个学习佛法的这个智慧，然后而且能够来修行正道，更加的信心，所以他就后来他就当时就请求佛陀给他受来三皈五戒。
So Pali, she woke up. She had a kind of awakening. I don't think she probably woke up all the way, but she had some kind of insight at that moment. And she was extremely happy with the Buddha's teachings. And so she herself began to really study the Dharma, study and grow in wisdom, and move towards the kind of appropriate and skillful, the wholesome. And she had more faith in the Buddha, and so she actually requested the 3 refuges and 5 precepts.
所以这个阿摩罗他受戒完以后呢，然后他要离开，他就恭请佛陀到他家里去来受供养。 但是佛陀因为他说在人世间不会太久，他想到别的地方去去来弘教弘法，所以他推迟他。但是这个艾摩尼一再的坚持，那佛陀也感觉到察觉到他的这个诚心，所以他后来他也接受了，他就答应他的请求，供养的请求。
So after taking the precepts, Amrapali sincerely requested the Buddha to come to her home to receive offerings. But the Buddha said he doesn't have much longer to live, and so he was going to another place to teach the Dharma. But she was so sincere, asked a number of times, and so the Buddha in the end accepted her request.
所以当时这个佛陀就带领所有比丘当晚就住在这个艾摩罗尼的地方。然后第二天呢，艾摩罗尼就拿出来，来供养所有比丘。他说，当时讲，连吃饭的这个洗手，这个盆啊，洗手的这些盆子啊，都是用金子做的。
So the Buddha accepted her offer. So they went to her place, and then I think they maybe found that they had some accommodations to spend a little bit of time, and then with all the monastic community, and then they received the offerings. And he described in the text about even the basins to wash your hands in were made of gold. So it was very elaborate offerings.
所以就是很有钱，然后这个用金瓶圣水来注在这个佛陀的手上，所以这个后来这个艾摩罗尼也把他的这个花园呢来供养给佛陀，佛陀当然也是非常欢喜来接受，因为有这个弟子来供养，所以他就接受了以后，他也命令一些弟子呢留下在这个比手离国的地方来说法度众，这样子的情况，然后他自己就跟阿难这些人就到别的地方去度化其他的众生了。这个是一个发生在当时美女的这个故事。
So then all the monks kind of were receiving offerings. She offered, the best of food, in very elaborate containers because she was so wealthy. And then she offered a garden to the Buddha, and for the you can say maybe as a monastery. So the Buddha received it and asked some of the monks to stay there to cultivate, and then he continued on with Venerable Ananda to go and teach the Dharma. So this is a story about a very, you could say, I say a beautiful woman, if you use the Chinese, you can menu, a woman with a lot of blessings, you could say. Okay, so I think that probably time is up, and we can then make a couple of announcements. There's actually quite a lot going on. Starting this Saturday, we will have the transmission of the 8 precepts to start our Amitabha session, which will begin that day. So if you're interested, you can find information on our berkeleymonastery.org website. And so at berkeleymonastery.org website, you also see there a place to sign up for memorial plaques or pieways. So if you join, you can sign it up for 2 people. So we wanted to make that option available. 所以我们在阿弥陀7这个星期6会开始，然后我们早上会传八关斋戒。你去 berkeleymonastery.org 你可以找到资料，然后我们也可以立牌位，每个人要参加的可以立2个牌位，就在我们的网站上，你可以找到那个地方可以报名。另外呢，我们3月7号到14号。Or I say in English. So maybe this is just in English because our program is just in English. From March 7th to the 14th, we have a retreat on the 4 boundless hearts: kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And so for those who really want to explore these, I found this to be a really good way to immerse yourself in the Dharma, to learn what really is kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. We hear it a lot, but oftentimes we don't really know what it means. And there's actually some really good teachings that have come to us from Buddhism, other religions, and even in modern science, modern psychology and things that we can explore. And I was very touched by somebody who sent me a note about a participant who has a son, and the son had a nightmare at night. And since he was in the pod, he actually did metta meditation with the son, where you relax the body, right? You wish yourself well with a kind of caring heart, and you kind of relax and kind of like a ritual. And so now he says the son wants it every night. So they do it as a metta ritual before the son goes to sleep. And I thought, wow, it's a great habit to develop. If the son has that for his whole life, he might have very good sleep. Which is the fruits of metta, is actually good sleep. Okay, so I think 有什么问题吗？
有人问，他是说这个念观音菩萨这个生的孩子是跟父母亲因缘来生的，或者是观世音菩萨来变出来这样子的因缘给这个小孩子的。其实这个在观音灵印记，就是观音灵印记有一本书，就是《观音显灵记》里面，它有一个这样子一个故事。我想这个这样子啦，这个
下次讲
因为我们下一次可能就不同的题目了。这样子，这个有一个故事说，有一位叫做华敦的，他娶了3个妻子，然后19年中呢都没有生小孩子，然后他就这个男的呢就在流泪，然后就因为他是信观世音菩萨，所以他就请求观世音菩萨给他小孩子，所以他有一晚上的时候呢，他梦见观世音菩萨就他请求之后，就梦见观世音菩萨抱了一男一女来，就告诉他说：“我可怜非常的怜悯你，就非常的，因为你就有在很虔诚的来念观音，所以将这个一男一女就付给你。”所以他第2年他就真的他就生了一男，就生子了，生了一子，然后再过1年又生了一个女的，所以这个后来就不再怀孕了，就是一男一女。像这样子的情况呢，最重要就是说你要有诚心来念观世音菩萨，这个因缘会改变的。当然你说这个因缘是跟你的父母亲的因缘假如说我想这个有关系，你没有命里面没有这个子的孩子的这个，你求也求不来，但是你可以改变，就是说你来念观世音菩萨，这样子他就会给你，但是你要非常的诚心来修行，这样子。
So somebody just asked about Guanyin Bodhisattva bestowing children. And so I think maybe I won't go into the details, but just say the story says about how Guanyin Bodhisattva gave a person children, a boy and a girl, and that made him very happy. So yeah, if we want to have a response, then we have to be extremely sincere. 好吧，我们可以回向功德吧。
Okay.
So if people want to sign up for the pod, you can find that the link also on our website, berkeleymonastery.org. Okay, let's do dedication of merit.
Okay.
May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace, with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. 3 bows. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That concludes our Sutra lecture. Hope you can join us again next week. Same time, Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. 阿弥陀佛。
Yeah, 阿弥陀佛。下次我们讲法会礼拜4，还是在佛记中间。